When we think about mental health, we often focus on what we can see: mood, thought, behavior. But beneath all of that, there's a biochemical language continuously shaping how we think, feel, and perceive the world. This language isn't spoken in words, it's spoken through molecules, through nutrients, enzymes, and electric gradients that allow the brain and body to communicate. Micronutrients, vitamins, minerals, trace elements, are not just supplements or dietary details. They are the fundamental alphabet of our physiology. They make neurotransmitters possible. They power our mitochondria. They shape how our genes are expressed and how our nervous system regulates itself. When that language becomes distorted, when a letter is missing, a syllable misplaced, what we experience as anxiety, depression, fatigue, or brain fog may actually be the body's way of expressing imbalance. So today, we'll explore how these small molecules, these micronutrients, create massive effects on the psyche. We'll look at what happens when they fall out of balance, how they relate to psychiatric symptoms, and how we can begin to restore the conversation between soma and psyche. Let's start with the basics. Every thought, every feeling, every impulse in the nervous system requires energy, and that energy comes from the mitochondria within our cells. These tiny organelles are like the body's power stations, but they can't do their job without certain micronutrients. For example, magnesium is required in over 300 enzymatic reactions, including those that make ATP our primary energy currency. B vitamins, like B2, B3, and B6, are essential for converting food into usable energy. Zinc and iron are cofactors in neurotransmitter synthesis, meaning they're required for making serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine, the very messengers that regulate mood, motivation, and attention. Without these micronutrients, the orchestra of cellular communication begins to lose rhythm. Energy wanes, signaling falters, and the coherence between body and mind begins to fragment. It's easy to forget that the psyche, what we call the mind, doesn't float somewhere above the body. It is embodied. Every mental state is grounded in biochemistry, in electric signaling, in nutrient sufficiency. Let's highlight a few of the major players that bridge biology and psychology. The first of which is B vitamins. The B complex family is central to energy metabolism and neurotransmitter synthesis. B6 and 12 deficiencies, for example, can lead to low serotonin and dopamine levels, contributing to depression, fatigue, or cognitive slowing. Folate, another B vitamin, supports methylation, a process that regulates mood, gene expression, and detoxification. The next is magnesium. Often called the relaxation mineral, magnesium calms the nervous system by regulating NMDA receptors, which are involved in excitatory signaling. Low magnesium has been linked with anxiety, irritability, insomnia, and even treatment-resistant depression. Next is zinc. Zinc modulates neurotransmitter activity and supports immune and gut integrity. Low zinc has been associated with anhedonia, or low interest, ADHD, and eating disorders. Next up is iron. Beyond its role in oxygen transport, iron is crucial for dopamine synthesis. Low ferritin levels, even within the quote-unquote normal lab range, can manifest as fatigue, apathy, or attention difficulties. Next, we have omega-3 fatty acids. These long-chain fats form the structural basis of brain cell membranes. Adequate omega-3s improve neuronal flexibility, reduce inflammation, and support emotional regulation. Deficiency has been linked with depression, bipolar disorder, and neurodevelopmental conditions. Finally, I'd like to mention vitamin D. This hormone-like nutrient influences serotonin synthesis, circadian rhythm, and immune balance. Low vitamin D levels are correlated with seasonal affective disorder and other depressive syndromes. Each of these nutrients contributes to the brain's capacity to maintain equilibrium, to self-regulate. When one goes missing, it's like removing a musician from the orchestra. The melody continues, but something feels off, incomplete, dissonant. Let's translate this into what we actually see clinically. For depression, low folate, B12, vitamin D, and omega-3 levels are consistently associated with depressive symptoms. In some individuals, correcting these can produce meaningful improvement, even without medication. For anxiety, deficiencies in magnesium, zinc, and B6 can heighten excitatory neurotransmission, making the system hyperreactive. Anxiety, restlessness, and even panic can arise from a body that lacks biochemical calm. For ADHD, low levels of zinc, magnesium, and iron can reduce dopamine and norepinephrine availability, impairing focus and impulse control. For bipolar spectrum and mania, mitochondrial dysfunction and oxidative stress, often worsened by nutrient depletion, are increasingly recognized as factors in mood cycling. For psychosis, low niacin, vitamin B3, was once called pelagious insanity because severe deficiency produced hallucinations and delusions. Iron, zinc, and antioxidant depletion can also impair neurotransmitter balance, contributing to vulnerability. In obsessive-compulsive disorder and autism spectrum, imbalances in methylation and oxidative stress pathways, often involving low folate, B12, zinc, and magnesium, can dysregulate serotonin glutamate systems, influencing compulsivity and rigidity. These aren't isolated findings. They reveal a pattern. That psychiatric symptoms are often the language of physiology. When we learn to interpret that language, we begin to see not only the mind's story, but also the body's. In functional and integrative psychiatry, we don't stop at symptoms, we look for signals. Lab testing can be an invaluable lens. For micronutrient status, this may include comprehensive nutrient panels, assessing red blood cell magnesium, zinc, and copper balance, methylation markers like homocysteine for folate and B12 function, iron studies with ferritin and transferrin saturation, fatty acid profiles to assess omega-3 status, and vitamin D levels ideally optimized above deficiency thresholds. From there, intervention becomes both nutritional and relational. We start with whole foods, colorful vegetables, omega-3 rich fish, grass-fed meats, nuts, seeds, and legumes. We use targeted supplementation when needed, always supporting digestion and absorption through gut health. Because if the gut is inflamed or dysbiotic, even perfect nutrition won't reach the brain. In other words, we don't just replace, we restore the system's ability to communicate. Micronutrients don't act in isolation. They participate in a vast interconnected network of physiological systems. The gut-brain axis determines how nutrients are absorbed and how microbial metabolites influence mood. The HPA axis, our stress system, increases magnesium and zinc loss through urine during chronic stress. The thyroid and gonadal systems rely on selenium, iodine, and zinc to maintain hormonal balance. And the immune system, fueled by vitamins A, C, D, and zinc, directly communicates with the brain through inflammatory signaling. This is why so many psychiatric conditions improve when we address the whole system, because coherence within the body allows coherence within the mind. Let's take a look at a case that illustrates this beautifully. A 34-year-old female came to me with a history of depression and anxiety that began after her second pregnancy. She described fatigue, brain fog, irritability, and frequent panic sensations. Multiple antidepressant trials had brought only partial relief. Her labs revealed low ferritin, suboptimal B12, borderline low vitamin D, and signs of mild magnesium deficiency. Her diet was mostly processed and low in protein. Rather than adding another medication, we started with nutritional repletion, iron bisglycinate, methylated B12 and folate, magnesium glycinate, and vitamin D3. We optimized protein intake, added omega-3 fatty acids, and focused on gentle movement and stress regulation. Over the next 8 to 10 weeks, she reported a steady return of energy, more emotional stability, and clearer thinking. Her anxiety episodes diminished dramatically. The intervention wasn't magic, it was biology, restored coherence. Her psyche could finally rest because her body had what it needed to communicate. That's the hidden dialogue between soma and psyche. When the physiological foundation is restored, the psychological experience can reorganize toward wholeness. Micronutrients are not merely chemical inputs. They are the bridge between matter and mind, the physical correlates of psychological resilience. When we approach mental health from a coherence-based perspective, we move beyond the old dichotomy of biological versus psychological. We begin to see that mind and body are two expressions of the same process. Every deficiency, every imbalance, every symptom becomes an invitation, not for reduction, but for curiosity. To ask, what is the body trying to say? And how can we help it speak more clearly? In this way, restoring micronutrient balance is not just nutritional medicine. It's a form of listening, a conversation with the deeper intelligence of the organism, a reminder that healing is not found in isolated parts, but in reuniting the whole. If this content resonates with you, please like and subscribe. I expand on this topic in more detail in my blog, and in even greater detail in my clinician-oriented trainings, and care for individuals in Washington and Minnesota applying this holistic lens. You can find links to all of this in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.